So we'll continue with mantra 10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Anyate Bahu Vidyaya.
Anyati Bahul Vidyaya.
Nyatau Avidyaya.
Yanahu Avidyaya.
Iti Susumatiranam.
Iti Shurmadhiranam.
Yemastat Visakire.
Vinasa Vichakatare.
Anyat, different.
Different.
Eva,
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Ahu,
Ahu.
set.
Sate.
Pit,
Vidit.
Yaya,
Yaya.
by culture of knowledge.
Knowledge.
Anyat,
Anyat.
different.
Different.
Ahu,
Ahu.
set.
Set.
Avidyaya,
Avidyaya.
by culture of nations.
By culture of knowledge.
Iti,
Iti.
thus. Susuma,
Shukruma.
I heard. Dhiranam,
Dhiranam.
from the sober.
From the soul.
Ye,
Ye.
who,
Who.
na,
Naha.
to us,
To us.
that,
That.
Vishashakshire, explained.
Explain.
Translation. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nations. Please repeat. The wise have explained
The wise have explained.
that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge
That one
and that a different result is obtained by the culture of nations.
and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nations.
So the topic here in this verse is, how can Vidya lead us to the absolute truth? In the previous verse, we discussed those who are in avidya go to darkness, and those who take avidya and vidya and mislead others go even to deeper ignorance. That so by the cultivation of avidya and vidya, different results. That also in this verse. So one of the ways Scripture is teaching us that if you do this, then that will happen. If you do that, then that will happen. Now it's up to you to decide. That so Krishna is using that also in Bhagavad Gita, making things very clear. The verse we mentioned, 1858, Machita Sarvadurani Matprachati Karishyasi Artasitvam Ankaram Nasvashasi Vinakshasi. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act to false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So in this mantra that we discuss now, avidya refers to the pursuit of sense gratification. There's knowledge used for getting sense gratification. And the vidya here means what helps us to develop a spiritual understanding or Krishna consciousness. That so Srila Prabhupada in the purport here that stop. I get the mantra 10 in the purport first. So vidya leads to desirable qualities in the first two paragraphs. Then avidya leads to undesirable qualities. And Prabhupada concludes only a Dhira can teach vidya. So there are three subject matters. in that. So vidya leads to desirable qualities, to virtues, desirable qualities. But how does vidya lead to desired qualities? Chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, text 8 to 12. These are all the desirable qualities: humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, and old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All this I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. So these are a lot of qualities, 20 qualities. There are two most important here of these qualities: unalloyed devotion, and the other is accepting of a spiritual master. If we accept the spiritual master, he teaches us unalloyed devotion, we practice unalloyed devotion, all the other qualities will automatically develop. So that is the point made here. Avidya is vidya, knowledge of Krishna consciousness, instructs us how to act in a Krishna conscious way, purify ourselves, and develop these desirable qualities. But avidya, knowledge for sense gratification, if we pursue that and we go into sense gratification, it leads to undesirable qualities, as we see in the society today. That in the final paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explains that only a dhira, a sober person, can teach knowledge in a systematic way. A dhira, one who controls his senses. Who is a dhira? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Deinosmin chatadi kamram shabnam charata tadi antarapapti dhiras tatranam uchate. That so if we read the literal translation, Prabhupada of 2:13, I want to get especially how Prabhupada speaks about the dhira. At the end, he says, a sober person is not bewildered by such change. The body changes constantly, and he's not bewildered by it. Because he realizes what's said in the previous verse, not you, Arjuna, all these kings and I have existed in the past, are existing now, and will never stop to exist. So we are eternal. That's the good news. And then this verse is the bad news. The body changes. But the dhira, he knows I'm not changing. The body is changing. I may get another body, but I remain the same spirit soul, the same person. It's just the garment that is changing. So, and it tolerates everything. It doesn't take the outward world too serious. You see the example in the Bhagavatam of Jad Bharat. He was like, he had no regard for the external world. He was always internally absorbed in Krishna consciousness. But only a person who is sober, who is not deluded by material things, can teach knowledge, spiritual knowledge, in a systematic way. Because this person has realization. He has the qualities that, and he can explain how to develop the qualities, because he has the qualities, or he's in the process, he's advanced in the process to get the qualities. So Srila Prabhupada, in these 20 qualities there in Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, he gives a list of 18 instructions. I list a few of them. Real humility is more directly expressed on how we respect others. That is a positive way we can cultivate humility. Then we become self-conscious. It is not about, the humility is not thinking, it's not about thinking low about oneself, but about thinking less about myself. That's, yeah. So the second point is, one should not pose oneself as a religionist for name and fame. Isopanisad states about Vidya, and Srila Prabhupada explains it based on Bhagavad Gita. One should not be a source of anxiety for others. This is a profound definition of ahimsa, non-violence, not being a source of anxiety for others. That's in the purpose of Bhagavad Gita 13:8, verses 8-12. Then one should always remember that one has to face the miseries of repeated birth and death. So this is knowledge, recognizing why am I suffering. We solve this problem by raising our consciousness above the body platform. And, yeah. And Krishna consciousness is raising our consciousness. Then in 96, in August, I arrived in Mayapur, in India, and my spiritual master Bhakti Charamaj was leading Navadvip Parikram. At the beginning of the Parikram, when we left Mayapur, he was telling all the devotees, now you have arrived in the spiritual world. You chant and you hear the pastimes of Krishna. Stay with your consciousness on that transcendental platform. Don't come down again. Only hear, chant. So that's quite an instruction. That keep our consciousness high, busy in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Develop a liking for residence in a secluded place. Srila Prabhupada explains, one should avoid congested places where non-devotees reside, because that could emerge us in an atmosphere of avidya, or sense gratification. 18. One should conduct research in spiritual knowledge, because spiritual knowledge is eternal. Either through metaphysics, philosophy, or physics, science, we can come to spirituality. Whatever spiritual knowledge we acquire, we will get back in the next life. So real knowledge is the development of character. That's the point. Spiritual character. So we have to change our concepts of knowledge. Conceptions will be changing. Up. Conceptions of knowledge. That so Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, he said that the 9 poses of devotion, Shravana Vishnu Smaranam, Vasevnam, Asavanam, Dasyam, Sakramatma Nivedana, it's in the Bhagavatam, 7th canto, hearing about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, and remembering Krishna, and surrendering at the lotus feet of Krishna, serving the lotus feet of Krishna, the performing deity for worship, praying to Krishna, serving Krishna as a servant, and giving oneself to go completely to Krishna, not many ways. These are the processes of offering devotion to the Supreme Lord. So the transcendental meaning of knowledge is devotion, practically. The devotion is the realized knowledge. That's knowledge, the real knowledge. But what happens when one has real intelligence? That this is in Bhagavad Gita 10:8. That Krishna says, how does it start? One knows that twice. Yeah, in Sanskrit. Ham Savasya Prabhu. Ham Savasya Prabhu. Mata Sarvam Pavastate iti Matva Vajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samamvita. Buddha Bhava Samamvita. If one is Buddha, real intelligence, Bhava Samamvita. Bhava Samamvita. One real Buddhi leads to Bhava Samamvita. That's devotion. Bhavana, devotion. That's Krishna consciousness in Hindi. One knows? Krishna Bhavana. Krishna Bhavana. Krishna consciousness. Bhavana. It's the same word. So, transcendental knowledge is for attaining Krishna consciousness lead to devotion. That's the real knowledge. And that brings out the virtues, the reformation of character, selfless character of service. That Socrates, he also said that knowledge is virtue. That knowledge must be reflected in the character of the person. This is consistent with the Vedic understanding. When we live in a mode of goodness, then knowledge is cultivated. So in chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, you will read about the 3 modes. Ignorance, tamas, rajas, passion, and sattva, goodness. We want to live in goodness, and we avoid rajas and tamas. So we have to know both what rajas and tamas is to avoid it. And what goodness is to cultivate it. We need to know both. That's the next verse we will discuss. But, so Francis Bacon, he has another idea of knowledge. There's a rajasic understanding in a mode of passion, not really our understanding. He said, this is knowledge leads to is power. This is rajasic controllership. How can things happen according to my will and the knowledge I have for that purpose? This is just an aspect of knowledge. This is the external power not internal powers. Technological power does not enhance willpower. No. People are simply concerned with how much I can control. So that is the current definition of knowledge. Knowledge is power. But yes, you have that. You have education and you have transformation. That goes together. If that is broken, there is a divorce. That's a problem. That the divorce of education from transformation leads to disruption. Education was originally related to transformation. The godliness has to be brought out by education. That, especially in the United States, young children, they take guns and shoot in the school. You see that many times. It happens elsewhere also. There is just the capacity of having information, but the transformation is not considered important. It is not just by speaking that people develop values. There was a Gurukuli from Mayapur. He was graduated 18 years. He went back to America. He was searching for a job. And he was soliciting, applying for a job as a security guard. And they asked him, what diplomas do you have? He said, I have no diplomas, but I'm of good character. I've been educated to have a good character, to exemplary behavior. And based on that, they accepted him. That's interesting. He got a job. So it's not just by speaking that people develop values. That's not going to happen. There must be a value of having respect for others. If the culture in America, in the Western world, all over the world today, the culture of satire and sarcasm, then that fellow anonymous told me that he's from New York, and in New York they are satire and sarcasm, and that's a daily thing there. And when he preaches, he tells sometimes a joke in a sarcastic way. And it was in the 80s or something. He had just taken sannyas, and he went with another Prabhupada disciple to the Philippines, Jakarta or so. Yeah. And he was giving a lecture, and he was telling a joke, and nobody was laughing. They don't know this. Anyway, so there may be toppers in the university, but they have bad qualities. They smoke, they drink, women hunters. Very harmful. So they have talk shows and quizzes, but what is the use of all that information? So what does it add to the value of one's life? So it's a decline in the conception of knowledge. So this is, knowledge is not for pulling, but for pulling towards Krishna. What you know is not as important as you live. That's the message. If a person is not devoted to Krishna, then what is the value of his talking about Krishna? That George Harrison, that he asked Srila Prabhupada, how can we recognize a spiritual master? Srila Prabhupada replied, the spiritual master is one who is addicted to Krishna, an irresistible attraction. What you know is not so important as you live. So even from the material perspective, we should be kind to the animals. That was it. Yeah. Prabhupada disciple, Shuta Kirtipo. He had a tiffin with sweets which he kept for Prabhupada. And he opened the tiffin and there were ants inside. And so to Prabhupada, there are ants inside on the sweets. And Prabhupada smiled at them. They won't eat much. They won't. So the divorce between learning and living has to be bridged. Knowledge is not just for learning, but for living. And that emphasis is lost today. That, yeah. Students know Amanit from. They make jokes about the teacher. It's a perverse standard of cleverness. Kali Yuga is notion of faults. Finding fault does not require any cleverness. Finding the good in others requires cleverness. One can speak in the most clever way destructively. One who can speak in the most clever way destructively is most appreciated. That's unfortunate. That's reality. Even 150 years ago, education was based on self-mastery. Thus, there was separate education for boys and girls. Sexual feelings may temporarily create the illusion of power, but it sucks away our energy. There's no cleanliness because of lacking of training, no focus on development of characters. There's no ahimsa, scientists developing weapons of mass destruction. This is a tragic abuse of God-given intelligence, the development of the nuclear bomb. The biggest brain leads to the world's destruction in recent human memory. The culture of ahimsa is not there. That these weapons can fall in the hands of terrorists. They have also chemical weapons. It's called tamassi. What is the solution to this? There is a misunderstanding of the purpose of life, and that brings out the misuse of human intelligence. Pseudo-religionists only for showing off to others. They will become religious if it's politically correct. There's only emphasis on appearance without cultivation of substance alone. There are religious festivals where people make big pandals and Ganesh images. The bigger the Ganesh, the bigger the false ego of the patron who is sponsoring it. That there is no genuine spiritual culture. There is only the appearance without substance. There are no rules, commitments made, and one gets initiated by a so-called guru. It is self-serving and self-deluding arrangement. The disciple will not make any advancement. It is a show of religion without substance. This is also kind of avidya, no substance. That when Radhanath Maharaj, before he joined, he was traveling over to Europe, to India, and amazing stories. But he came in India, he was searching for a goal. And he came in Delhi the first time, and he came at the temple. It was a Ganesh temple. And they brought him flowers and so much food, and everything was decorated. So and there was a big puja going on, and many people were there, and he asked the people what's going on, and they told him, "Oh, we are starting a new company, and for our success, we are worshiping Ganesh to make it successful." That was materialistic religion. And then you have nationalists. Srila Prabhupada takes this from a universal perspective. We live on the earth only for a few decades, and we try to make boundaries in countries. From the social and political plane, it are very serious issues. But from the transcendental position, it's just fighting for I and mine. It is short-sighted. People think that patriotism is a good quality. Nationalism thinks that my nation is best. That is based on ignorance. Aparadharma, attraction to family, etc. It's a form of illusion. The Bhagavatam gives dharma from a transcendental perspective. Bhagavad Dharma. We should go beyond this nationalism and transcend all these designations. Srila Prabhupada said one, well, that's from Yasya Bhakti. Anyway, that's in the Bhagavatam. One who thinks my land is worshipable is not better than a cow and an ass. I think that's in the 10th canto. But oh yeah, I know where it is. 10th canto, the solar eclipse, when or the Yadus and also Nanda Maharaj, the Vajravasis went all together to Kurukshetra, and there they hear from the sages. So it's here. Yasyatma buddhi kunipeti tatuke spardi kalatadi sabama ichadi. Yatirta buli salinena karichit shanesabhihi saiva gokara. They are not better than an ass or a cow. This is Lord Krishna speaking to the sages of Kurukshetra. One who identifies himself as the inner body composed of mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image for the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but never identifies himself, feels kinship with, worships, or even visit those who are wise in spiritual truth, such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. That Prabhupada points out cow and ass. The vision of the Bhagavatam is so penetrating that it goes to the substance. It is rejecting even religion that is superficial. 112 in the Bhagavatam. We need to associate with people who are enlightened. One should not push, not just visit a holy place to take a bath, but real religion is described in the Bhagavatam right from the beginning. First, the Bhagavatam verse, it defines Krishna as the absolute truth, the origin of everything. But then it rejects all material religion. Dharma pachita kai betra paramola nirmat saram satam vidyam vastamatra vastashivatam tapo mulayam Srimad Bhagavate ma mune krite kim vapayar ishvara Satra rit avarutya tetra kitabisa susvitat sanat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. That's the first thing. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those who are fully pure in heart, the dhyas. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. They become transcendental, no miseries anymore. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage of Vyasadeva, is sufficient for itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scriptures? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by the culture of knowledge, the supreme Lord is established within the heart. So after study Bhagavad Gita, we must study Bhagavatam. That's the next step. Then Bhagavatam will help us to bring Bhagavad Gita in practice. Souls who have taken birth in India have spiritual and pious credits. Srila Prabhupada is focusing on the spirituality of the Indians and is asking them to bring out this spirituality, the development of transcendental qualities. This begins with hearing from a dhira. A dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusion. One must be spiritually realized. The Brahma Bhuta platform, Brahma Bhuta Prashanat Nashustina Kanksin Samsvesa Bhusham Not Bhakti Navate Brahma. That's the Brahma Bhuta platform, the spiritual platform, Nashustina Kanksitam. One is peaceful, no lamenting or hankering. So Srila Prabhupada uses the term getting a body. There is no intrinsic connection between the soul and the body. There's no connection. And the circumstances, and by circumstances, they came together. That these circumstances of consciousness became polluted by selfish ideas. That's how it started. But they are foreign elements, the soul and the body. The soul is Satchitananda, and the body is Asat, Ashit, no Ananda, suffering. It's the opposite. It's temporary, it's full of ignorance, and it is full of suffering. It doesn't go together. But simply make use of a bad bargain. The body does not cooperate with our efforts for spiritual advancement. Take that in account. The body pulls us down. We use it we use it to whatever capacity we can. The dhira must come from disciplic succession. They are simply concerned with they are simply concerned. Others, they are simply concerned with their remuneration in dollars and cents. Such people cannot be dhiras. Only those who have spiritual realization. That, yes. So, is it the last slide? Oh, there's one more. The mother man is converted into an ass. So that is the avidya. That, yes. Any questions? Yes.
You said, or it is said also in scriptures to transcend all these situations. Is it to be attempted directly in the beginning to try to be not strive for any designation, or could it be also helpful for the devotees themselves? For example, to strive for being the best book distributor, which is, you know, could be helpful.
Yeah, you can try to use your false ego in the service of Krishna. That's totally good to do that. That is competition. But spiritual competition is competition without envy. That when a devotee sees that another devotee is doing better, he becomes happy. That when he sees this devotee is blessed. So that is education. That is spiritual quality. That we get all be empowered by Krishna, someone in a different way than another. And the devotee appreciates. But Srila Prabhupada used that competition spirit in book distribution. That also in Germany, the temple who wins the marathon gets Prabhupada's book, and that's good. It's nice. That does not mean that the other temples are less or whatever. But it brings us a nice spirit to help us to use our conditioned nature in becoming number one for Prabhupada. Yes.
This thematic is also given in the nectar of food distribution. And it's also Prabhupada quoted that he explains that this competitive attitude is not something unnatural. This is also found in the gopis, that they compete between each other who makes a better service for Krishna, but in a different way. Like not that they want to put the others down, but they get inspired from the service of the others and want just better service for Krishna in order to do better for Krishna, not to push the others down.
Yeah. Okay. It's difficult to understand with our material condition. That's true. But there's also competition in the material, in the spiritual world. But the competition is without envy. That and because in material world, competition is done for material gain. In the spiritual world, competition is done for one who pleases Krishna the most. And Radharani always wins the competition. He pleases. That, something else. Yes.
You said to unavoid devotion or other qualities will develop or will manifest. How is it when we have at least the intention to devote to Krishna or to surrender to Krishna, but often it's for me like this, I'm not sure if this what I'm doing now, is this really that what Krishna wants from me? How can we come closer to these unavoid devotion and to learn in our daily life what means devotion in that moment?
Well, it's something that develops. I'm preaching pure devotion service for many years, and after doing it many years, you start to think maybe that's what I should do. It's a good idea. So it's good to hear about Krishna and speak, especially speak about it. Try to act selflessly, not just hearing, act selflessly, to serve Krishna, do things without asking something in return, just to please Krishna. And that brings you closer to your devotional service. Bring it in practice, that's the purpose. But when we hear about all the examples in the Bhagavatam, those who are doing that, we get an idea how to act. That we try our best on our level. There's no need to become a big devotee. Just try where you are, try your best. Krishna sees that. Krishna sees that. He sees your intention. That's most important. Good. Then I would say we will break up now. We see each other at 4 o'clock, from 4 till 6:30. That we have to do 2 more verses. That because I have a meeting with the sannyasis and I cannot be here at 3:30. It's too early. Or 4:36. And tomorrow also, and next week also, the same schedule. We have 3 sessions a day for the Bhagavad Gita. That Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.